happy Friday and welcome to Cover to Cover. Yay!
Friday!
So excited, so happy.
Yay!
Words cannot express how excited I am that it is Friday. I'm Kate.
I'm Bayleigh.
And we are your hosts for this adventure in books.
Yeah.
I was going to try to think of something more fancy, like this adventure in literary... I was like,
literary adventures.
Adventures in books. But we're talking about the library today, so it is library, books, and beyond.
Emphasis on library.
Yeah, so emphasis, and that is my place of work. So
I'll be working at the book place.
The book place.
The book place in Rocky Mountain.
Where you can buy books. Where
I get discounts on books.
That's always exciting. So what we're going to talk a little bit, we're going to talk about we had some reports run and we found out what the top circulating books were in the library that were not like, test prep books or things like that.
Just regular, everyday books that you would pick up and actually read.
Yeah, just for fun. So we've got the top 5 books that circulate in the library, and then we're going to talk about some of our favorite books that are available in the library. And mine looks like, a high schooler's reading list.
Yeah.
But it was stuff that I read in high school. A lot of it, and I really enjoyed it.
Mine's just stuff that I've picked up and probably read in an hour and a half, 2 hours.
So, this is, I can't do that with some of this, but so anyway, so we're going to talk a little bit about the top 5 circulating books in the library. So if you want to go ahead and kick that off.
Oh, I'm excited about this one. I'm so glad this is first on the list.
Yeah.
All right, so
no wonder.
Obviously, if you've seen before, you know I love Harry Potter. And coincidentally,
she doesn't. She hates it. Continue.
Coincidentally, the first one is Sorcerer's Stone, which is actually the first Harry Potter book, which is why I'm glad that this one's actually up here. Mm-hmm. It's written by J.K. Rowling, and it is amazing.
And it was really funny because I think about Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and I remember when it came out. I was in the 3rd grade when it came out, and it. I was at the book fair, and they used to give those little flyers or pamphlet things at the book fair, that would be like new books that are coming out, and they had the little video that they'd show you, and it's like Harry Potter, and I was like 7 or 8 when that happened.
Yeah.
And so it's really fun to talk about that book because it's like
it's the beginning of what is actually my childhood.
Yeah, and it set the pace for all other young adult. I mean,
it really did.
In my mind, it's really one of the first young adult books series to come out. But it really did. You have everything that came after it, like the Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
Divergent, Hunger Games.
And that's
all of that really spiraled off of Harry Potter.
And you have, especially with something like Percy Jackson, where they have, Camp Half-Blood, where they're all, demigods. They're all demigods and all this kind of stuff, but it's like Hogwarts, but for demigods, essentially.
Exactly.
So it's a very similar premise. Not that Percy Jackson is a ripoff. I'm not saying that.
It's a different storyline, but it kind of
it follows that pattern.
Exactly. The way it kind of progresses goes along with how the Harry Potter progresses.
Exactly.
As far as what happens.
Yeah. So it's a special book. It's a very special book. It's something that I think is very near and dear.
Everybody, no matter what you might believe or how you what you lean towards, I think it's definitely something that everybody should at least give a shot.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think because if you haven't read it, then you're living under a rock or something.
Or if you've at least watched some movies, then I'm okay.
Yeah. So
because I'm kind of that person. I've read half of Sorcerer's Stones, and then school happened.
J.K. Rowling really made a magical
J.K. Rowling
impression.
If you're watching this, I love you. You're
amazing. If J.K. Rowling is watching this,
I love you. You're amazing. Just saying.
That would be incredible.
My heart would stop.
So the book I have next is The Giver by Lois Lowry.
Such an amazing book.
Came out in 1993, and it's kind of like that starts out, you think it's like some utopian society, but then it's some kind of dystopian society. Yeah. It's not what you think it is. And it's about, so it follows a 12-year-old boy named Jonas. And he lives in this society that eliminated pain and strife and negative color. Emotions and all this kind of stuff. And they promote this thing called sameness.
Yeah.
So that everybody's the same. You have the same feelings. It's nothing out of bounds. It's all very tempered. And
there's no love. There's no pain. there's nothing.
Exactly. And so, but Jonas is selected to inherit the position of the receiver of memory. And so what he does is he kind of stores all the past memories that happened before sameness was implemented. And he's like struggling with the emotions and all these things that he's never felt before.
I would too. I mean, to have growing up, because if I'm not mistaken, you said he's 12, right?
Yeah, in the book. Yeah.
Okay. To be 12 years old and not know anything but everybody being the exact same, and then having all this stuff thrown at you and thrown into your brain.
It would be overwhelming.
Exactly.
It would be completely overwhelming. But Lois Lowry, who has written a lot of other books that I love, like Number of the Stars, was something I read in middle school and loved it. But she's kind of another one of like the forerunners of young adult fiction.
She really was.
And so The Giver by Lois Lowry is
the
number
movie
2.
to this is really good too. It doesn't follow the exact same. The age is different.
Yeah, they aged them up.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, in the movie he's like 16. But it still follows the same storyline, and that way it's more relatable for teens today.
Yeah.
But the movie is really good as well if you don't want to actually read the book.
But The Giver by Lois Lowry, it's kind of one of those books that they always make you read in school.
Yeah.
But it was
I actually never
Newbery
read this
Medal
in
winner.
school.
Really?
I never had to read this in school.
think
I watched the movie though.
I read it in 7th grade, I think. So, so anyway, so next book.
If I Stay by Gail Foreman. Oh, I love this. I actually finished this book in like 2 hours, if that tells you anything. But basically what it is they have this snow day where they live, and like, I mean, it's seriously not even like a half a foot of snow. But they
like
cancel school, everybody gets out for the day. It's the main character, I'm trying to remember what her name was. I can't remember her name to save my life right now. But it's the girl who plays the main character. Her brother and her 2 parents decide to go to the family friend's house and spend the day with them. On the way there, they end up getting hit by a truck who slides on ice, and both of her parents die in the wreck. Her little brother ends up in the hospital, and she ends up in a coma. So the whole story is really her.
Mia Hall is the name.
Mia Hall. Thank you, Isaac. I knew it started with an M, but I was just
What
like,
would we do without Isaac?
I don't know, as long as he doesn't Photoshop me.
Function, I know.
Yeah.
But the whole story really revolves around Mia falling in love with this guy and ending up, it's like 2 different timelines. It's flashbacks of before the wreck and what happens after the wreck and while she's in the coma. And it's really cool because the author, Gail, this book is actually based off of something that happened to one of her really good friends. And when she finally wakes up from the coma, they're like, well, you have to do physical therapy. You have to do physical therapy to be able to get better. And she plays the cello. Well, she's like, I don't want to do anything. She had gotten accepted into Juilliard. She was supposed to be able to go. Then one thing, they told her that the cello would be too heavy for her for physical therapy. That was the one thing that got her through that and got her through the physical therapy was playing that. So it's really kind of cool to see how that whole story revolves.
Yeah, that's really an interesting one. And yeah, that's one I have not read. I have not.
It's definitely something I would recommend.
Yeah. Well, I will have to check that one out.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
You work there.
I do. So the next one is World War Z by Max Brooks, who is actually the son of comedy legend Mel Brooks and the late great actress Anne Bancroft. This is about it's an apocalyptic horror novel. It came out in 2006, and it's basically a collection of individual accounts that they're narrated by an agent of the UN Post-War Commission, and it's about the global conflict against the zombie plague. And it was so you follow it kind of in a very like procedural style. It's not like and then the zombies did this and then it's like very. It's like if it was a report written, you know, a guy was talking about.
It's like this, and then this, and then this, and then the following case was this.
Yeah, so it's really funny to me that, well, not funny, but it's weird to me that, not even weird, but I can't think of the right word, but that Max Brooks, who his father is such a comedy legend, I mean, he was the brains behind Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein and Robin Hood Men in Tights and all this kind of stuff. Writes in an apocalyptic horror novel. But it's been
for this is really
was made into a film with Brad Pitt. So I don't really want to say too much about it because I don't want to give much away. but we do have it. It's obviously it's very popular if we are, you know, checking it out a good amount. So,
yeah.
So this next one, Bayleigh, I've never heard of it. I'm gonna be completely honest. I've never heard of this one. So this is all you. I'm listening.
All right. So the last book that we're gonna talk about as the top 5 is Where She Went by again Gail Forman. And basically what this is it's the sequel to If I Stay. It's what happens to Mia after she wakes up, after she decides, okay, I'm going to go to New York, I'm going to follow my dreams and all this other stuff. But it's really kind of cool because the boyfriend from the first one, who was so broken about her being in the coma, is fighting for their relationship. And it's really interesting to kind of see how this goes even further into detail and further into the real person's life as to what happened in this one.
Because you know all about like what happened and the events leading into it and what was going on there, but it digs deeper into the kind of psychological aspect and the aftermath of kind of a traumatic event like that.
Because in the first one, and I'm sorry if I'm giving things away for the first one, but her little brother actually ends up dying in the hospital.
Oh no.
So she's all by herself. The only family that she really has is her grandparents.
Sorry, I was laughing not because her brother died, but because Isaac was like really upset that she spoiled that for him.
I said, I'm sorry.
I'm like, I'm not laughing because of that. That's not why I'm laughing. So
it's still, even though I'm giving things away for the book, this is really only like one of the few times I've ever done this without giving like spoiler alert, spoiler alert. But it's definitely something that I would read over and over and over again because it really does. The sequel to this is personally my favorite between the two because it shows you what happens in the aftermath of having everybody that you really care for no longer be there and not getting to see them and spend time with them again. So it's really good. It's amazing to me to see how even though everything she's gone through, she becomes stronger. She does follow her dreams to make her parents proud. So it's really good.
Sounds like a good one. So those are the top 5 books that are being checked out currently at the Nice Community College Library. We have all of that and more, much more in the library. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Bayleigh is going to talk about some of her favorite books that are available for checkout. So stay tuned. We'll be right back here on Cover to Cover.
When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to savethefood.com.
We're back.
Welcome back to Cover. I'm Kate.
I'm Bayleigh.
And we are talking about some of our favorite books that are available for checkout in the library. Now, these aren't necessarily new releases or the most popular books, but these are just personal favorites. So if you don't like it,
there's more to choose from.
Deal with it.
So I was trying to be nice about it.
I'm like, just, deal with it.
I was trying to be nice
These are opinions.
All right. So anyway. My first one, which I actually just found out about, is called Milk and Honey by
Rupi Kaur.
Rupi Kaur, yeah. And it's not really like a novel. It's more of a collection of poems that she's written. And it's really kind of cool because it goes from anxiety to happiness to love to depression and a whole bunch of other topics that are in this book. I actually finished the entire thing in like 2 hours sitting on the floor with a million.
And it's not a really thick book either.
It's not.
It's a quick read.
It is.
It's a very quick read.
Honestly, it's amazing because no matter what's going on in your life, you'll find things in this book that you can relate to, and that's what really stuck out to me. But there was one poem that really stuck out to me that said, don't mistake salt for sugar. And I mean, it goes more into detail with it, but that was the one line that really stuck out to me is, don't be fooled by what you think looks like something, but it's completely something different. And that's really one of my favorite things about this is it turns things that you say every day into something that you can honestly, truly understand on a deeper level.
And also, you don't want to put salt in your coffee. Have you ever done that? It sucks.
I'm not big on coffee. I put like this much coffee and like that much milk.
Okay, well, that's fair. But that's one. This is a book that that we have checked out I have checked it out a good number of times to other people, and it has been on a lot of like last year's like best of books list. So it's a good one. It's a good one.
So if anybody wants to surprise me with a birthday present,
the book.
Hint.
So okay. So what's your next?
Divergent.
What? I thought you hated Divergent. I thought that you just could not stand Divergent.
Who are you and where have you been for
at all? So I'm being completely sarcastic.
Oh, I know. But Divergent by Veronica Roth. It's a whole series. It's 3 books. She came out with the last one, which is 4 from the main character's perspective. But Trish is trying to find what faction she wants to be in, because once you do your your test, you get to pick where you want to be, and it tells you like what your personality type is, so you know which one you want to be in.
Like a really intense Myers-Briggs personality test.
Yeah. Like they get in your brain and you have to go through all these scenarios, and yeah, it's insane. But basically what it is she's labeled as divergent, which means she doesn't conform to just one faction. She's not just one thing. And that's really kind of cool because they end up finding out that she's divergent, and it just spirals and spirals and spirals, and she's basically fighting for her life at this point. And then it's just, each book goes more into depth with it, so it's really cool.
It sounds like a good one. Obviously very popular.
It was made into a movie.
Yeah, and
Shailene Woodley.
And that really follows on the heels very much of the Hunger Games series. So we talked a little bit about like Harry Potter, and then Percy Jackson being derivative of that. I see Divergent as derivative of the Hunger Games. Yeah. You know, it's that kind of society kind of thing.
It's like a post end of the world thing in Chicago, where they have like this huge wall, and it's really kind of cool to see how the story dives deeper into people trying to be conformed into one thing, and they're not. So
you can't fit a mold. So.
You really can't, and that's the thing with Trish, is she shows you that.
Yeah. So okay, what's next?
The Fault in Our Stars. I finally get to be girly for a minute.
John Green.
Oh Lord, I love John Green, but I hate John Green.
Because of this book?
No, because he always kills people.
But yeah, that happens a lot with him.
Yes, it does. But essentially what this is there's these 2 people. I'm trying to think of the names.
Uh-oh.
How do I forget their names? I know it's Grace. Hazel Grace.
Hazel Grace.
Hazel Grace and
Gus Walters. Sorry.
August Waters. Thank you. I don't know. What did I do without you today?
Gus.
Oh my God. So basically what it is, and I'm not spoiling anything. If you read the back of it, it's enough to make you cry. Hazel Grace is diagnosed with cancer. Gus is in remission. They end up clicking and end up dating, and it just spirals, and it breaks your heart, and it's amazing. And it's really relatable to people who have had family members diagnosed with cancer and all of that. So it's definitely something that I personally can relate to, because I've had a lot of people in my family have it. So,
and it's definitely hard when it's a kid, when it's you know, a teenager,
because they're both 16, 17 years old.
It's hard when anybody has it, but it's always really doubly tough when it's a kid.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that will definitely tug at your heartstrings.
And it really does, especially because the first time I read this, my great aunt was diagnosed with breast cancer again. So to read this book and have that go on, it really just made it that much more impactful for my life.
Right.
To be able to see it from somebody else's perspective and be able to relate to it like that. So.
Okay. Well, it's a pretty good list to me. So, so we're going to take another quick break. We're going to come back, and I will let you know a little more about what some of my favorites are in the library. So stick around. We'll be right back here on Cover to Cover.
Did you know Nash Community College offers 12 degree programs entirely online? Are you interested in information technology? Explore information technology systems, network management, systems security, healthcare informatics, or web design and administration. These 2-year programs are only a few of the online associate degrees offered through Nash Online. Students receive the same quality instruction and resources as on-campus students without ever stepping foot on Nash's campus. Learn more about Nash Online today at online.nashcc.edu.
Nash Community College will host the inaugural Bounty and Barrel event Thursday, November 7th from 6 to 8 p.m. Join the community for an evening of North Carolina harvests, meats, and seafood while sampling barrel-aged spirits and student craft beer, plus a VIP hour with special guest and certified spirits specialist. Don't miss this Bounty and Barrel event, November 7th from 6 to 8 p.m. on the campus of Nash Community College in Rocky Mount.
And we're back here on Cover to Cover. So, okay.
Time for the high school reading list.
But there's a reason they make you read a lot of these in high school, because they are amazing. They're, for a lot of people, they're life-changing reads. They're really impactful reads. So the first one is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. So you have, this is one of, it was interesting. This is one of those books, when I was reading it, it took me a little while to get into. I'm not going to lie. But once I got into it, I really got into it. So it's about Kathy and Heathcliff. So Heathcliff is kind of taken in by Kathy's family and Catherine Earnshaw. And Heathcliff is taken in by her family and kind of, it's not really a son or any kind of like that, but they fall in love with each other, but they can't be together, and it's this tumultuous love affair. And then, you know, she dies, and he's all upset because she married someone else and had a kid, and then he takes the kid in and treats the kid like he was treated. So it's one of those, it's one of those torrid, epic romances that's also like kind of depressing. Yeah. It takes place in the north of England with the moors, and it's very like a wild landscape, and it's supposed to be, you know, the wildness of the landscape mirrors the wildness of like Heathcliff's nature and things like that, which is what they taught me in school.
Again, I say, high school reading list.
But whether you're in high school or not, I mean, if you have not read this book.
Read this book.
If you have not read this book, I think it's one that you need to read in your lifetime. As I know it's like an older book, whatever. It's still one of the best books of all time, and there's a reason it is. It's called a masterpiece, and there's a reason behind that.
Literally says on the cover,
so,
one of the world's greatest literary masterpieces.
It really is. And of course, you have her sister Jane Bronte, the author who wrote Jane Eyre. No, Charlotte. Sorry, Charlotte. I was thinking about, sorry, there was no Jane. Charlotte Bronte who wrote Jane Eyre. So it was a very literary, it was Charlotte, Anne, and Emily. And so it was a very literary family, and all three of them were authors, and they all used pen names. So at a time when women were not allowed to be authors. So anyway, but her pen name was Ellis Bell. So it's good stuff. The next one we're going to talk about is Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. So this is a very, for me,
I love this one.
It's a very personal, for me, I read it in the 7th grade. And I think one thing that is so moving about it is that people, especially for me as a young girl, I read it when I was like 12 or 13. I felt like I could relate to her. Yeah. And for me, I was actually in a production of the play about 2 years ago. I played Margot, Anne's older sister, and it's just something that's always been very near and dear to my heart. It's
definitely worth the read.
And it's one of those, it's to see her, so if you don't know the story, so Anne and her family lived in Amsterdam during World War II. They were Jewish and went into hiding during World War II and in an annex, a secret annex in her father's office. They were there.
I thought it was a family friend's house.
No, it was at her father's office above it. And she and another family, the Franks, the Van Pelses, and then another gentleman by the name, she called him Mr. Dussel, who was a dentist, moved in with them. And they lived there for 2 years in very small confined space. And while all of the, like World War II was raging outside and people are being taken off to concentration camps, and they lived there for 2 years until they were discovered. But to see her, her quote, what she wrote in her diary, in spite of everything, I still believe that people are good at heart.
Yeah.
And so to go through all this and still have that mentality, that optimism is incredible. But it's fun to see, like, her she writes about, you know, arguments with her mother and all this kind of stuff. So she still maintains this ability to be a teenage girl.
Exactly. And that's
because she's still a teenager. She's there from the time she's 13 to when she's almost 16. So.
And that's what really sticks out to me about this, is you really do get to see kind of her grow up in this book and see how her perspective on things really doesn't change that much no matter what is going on.
Exactly. And then the last one I'm going to do really quick because I'm running out of time, is The Crucible by Arthur Miller. Now this is a play.
I love this.
It's not a book, it's a play. But it takes place during the Salem witch trials. It was written during the Red Scare here, when people were hunting down communists and things like that. McCarthy, his whole, like, you know, investigation and trials. And so it's kind of written as like a political allegory for that. And so it takes place in Salem, and the main characters, John Proctor and Abigail Williams, who had an affair with him, and her cousin goes into some kind of trance, and they're like, oh, it's witchcraft. Yeah. And so all these girls start accusing people of being witches,
and then they all end up getting
and they get hanged.
It's the Salem witch trials.
But it's incredible. It's an incredible story. It's freaky.
It is,
because to think that something like that could happen and did happen.
This is actually me and my mom's favorite plays that both of us have ever read.
Yeah, and it's a good one to see if you ever get the chance.
I really want to see it.
So those are my three. Whew, I gotta take a deep breath. So those are my three favorites in the library. But come to the library. We have so much for you, for whatever you want, for all kinds of readers. Come to the library. Come check out a book or a movie and just spend a little time there. It's a good place.
It's fun.
So anyway, but so that's all for this week's edition of Cover to Cover. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy the beautiful weather. Yes.
I'm ready for fall.
So I'm Kate.
I'm Bayleigh.
We'll see you next week.